Triston Casas will have an all-star caliber season in 2024. I'll tell you why on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast, and I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed for free. And honestly, who doesn't love free? So you might as well check it out, right? Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers, join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the show. We are 51 days away from opening day, my friends. I don't know how you feel about that, what your excitement level is. The Red Sox haven't done the best job of making us excited about opening day this year due to the fact that they lacked some key moves that they should have made in the offseason. So take that how you will, but either way for me, regardless of how the Red Sox perform, I'll always be excited for opening day, just simply to be able to watch baseball again regularly and have it back on my TV every day. There's really nothing else like it. And even beyond baseball, it symbolizes that spring is here. I don't understand anybody who lives in New England and enjoys the winter. This time of year is awful. It's too cold. You're cooped up inside. I'd rather be outside where it's warm and be able to walk around and just enjoy the weather. So we're only a couple months away from getting into that nice spring weather. So hope you're having a great week. Later in the show, I will be talking a little bit about that 51 and what that number means to the Red Sox. But first, we do have to talk about a player named Triston Casas who certainly made an absolute splash in 2023 in terms of the numbers that he put up and the rookie season that he had. He was a late call-up in 2022. We saw a very brief stint of him. So 2023 was really when his time in Boston actually started officially, his first full season with the Red Sox. And early on in the season, he wasn't hitting that well. At the end of April, he had a 133 batting average. And by the end of the season, he was able to get that all the way up to a 263 by the end of September. So something clicked for him. It seems to have been in the beginning of June when he figured something out at the plate, and then he was consistently putting up better numbers overall as a hitter. And I do think part of that was working with Justin Turner, a veteran who was playing the same position as him, and being able to use him as almost a mentor in a way. I do think that both physically and mentally had an impact on Casas. And not only that, but just his plate discipline overall improved throughout the course of the season compared to past seasons that we've seen him in the minors. For example, his strikeout percentage has cut down significantly. In 2018, which was his first season as a professional baseball player when he was in rookie ball, his strikeout percentage was 40%. And then it went down to 23.5% in 2019 when he was brought up to single A. He had a great season in triple A in 2022 where his K percentage was 21.5%. This past year in 2023 in the majors, he had a strikeout percentage of 25.1% compared to a 13.9% walk rate. So he's been able to decrease that strikeout percentage significantly over the years, and from a walk percentage standpoint, that 13.9%, he definitely can increase a little bit more, but the idea of him being at 13.9% to me represents that he wants to be more aggressive at the plate. He doesn't really choose to take walks if he doesn't have to. He'd rather generate competitive numbers and make contact at the plate. His on base percentage in 2023 was a 3.67. So he was getting on base a lot, making that contact, finding the pitches to swing at, and he was able to figure out the best way to set him up for success in terms of the pitches that he should have been swinging at. His slugging percentage was 490, which is important because that basically takes your on base percentage and combines it with how many bases you're getting when you're getting a hit. So, how much hard contact are you making? So, he was able to find ways to advance to more than one base when he was getting a hit. Another thing that stood out to me about Casas is that he brought power in 2023 also. He hit 24 home runs with 65 RBIs throughout the length of a season. So, he was bringing that power bat to Fenway, which is great because the Red Sox don't have a ton of home run hitters in the lineup. So the fact that he was able to generate those home runs, make that hard contact is important. He made 502 plate appearances during the season. So he was able to get a lot of reps in, which is going to be absolutely huge for him moving forward. Now, if you think about how the beginning of the season went for him, he was definitely still trying to find his groove when it came to figuring out his style, what worked for him, what he was most comfortable with. But as the season progressed, he really advanced his skills in a lot of areas. And all of this is to say, in 2024, I expect Triston Casas to have an all-star caliber season. Now, what does that look like for him? Every all-star is different in terms of their batting style, what they're good at, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and what they're really honing in on. For example, we'll take somebody who is consistently an all-star caliber bat in Raphael Devers. He has 2 all-star appearances in his career so far. He batted .271 during the season with 100 RBIs and 33 home runs. So that is an example of an all-star caliber bat. He had non-base percentage of 351 and a slugging percentage of 500. So to compare that to Casas, who had non-base percentage of 367 and a slugging of 490, those numbers are not too far off at all from where Devers is at. I mean, his on-base percentage of 367 compared to Devers' on-base percentage of 351, Casas was actually getting on base more than he was, which is a promising sign. And then if you look at the RBIs, there is a significant difference there because Devers had 100 RBIs, whereas Casas had 65 RBIs. So from that standpoint, it's a little bit different, but he can get there for sure. 65 RBIs in your rookie season is certainly not a bad start at all compared to what some other rookies have produced. The other thing to note about Devers is he hit 33 home runs during the 2023 season, and Casas hit 24. So Casas was certainly on the right track in terms of his bat, almost matching the number of home runs as Devers, who is the best hitter on the team, is saying a lot about him. If you really take the two and compare them, because when evaluating somebody as an all-star, you want to compare them to somebody else who's been an all-star. And the primary reason to me why I feel Triston Casas will be an all-star is because of that comfortability that he's gained at the plate and his willingness to constantly continue to improve and to want to learn from people above him. And Devers is certainly somebody who's a great person to look up to in that way. And Casas being able to match or finish even better than some of those numbers by Devers speaks absolute volumes to his potential. He's only had one full season with the Red Sox, but he hasn't done anything to me to show that he's slowing down. If he picks up a couple more things in his game, like maybe stays a little bit more patient at the plate and is willing to take some more walks, that would be my biggest critique for him with his plate appearances, because he's getting the hits, he's getting himself on base, those numbers are there. If he can just figure out maybe a way to stay patient and not force something that isn't there, he will be an all-star in 2024. Just book it right now. I'm telling you, Triston Casas is in for a big season coming up. And coming up on the show, are the Red Sox in for a big season? Not really with where the roster stands, and I'm going to be explaining how they stack up to a division rival coming up next. How do you feel about sports betting? Is it something you've always enjoyed doing or something you're thinking about getting into? If so, FanDuel is the place for you. Happy Super Bowl to all who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday is all about scoring the best seat on the couch, grabbing your favorite football snacks, and placing some super bets. I just love everything about Super Bowl Sunday. It gets so many people together. You can play some games with them before the big game starts. You can eat snacks, eat food. My fiance and I are hosting this year. We're planning on ordering a ton of pizza and wings for our friends that are coming over, and people are bringing drinks. They're bringing desserts, they're bringing appetizers, like my friend's bringing a very good buffalo chicken dip. So I'm looking forward to all of that, and of course the game itself. And there are a lot of different bets you can make on the game itself, like how many total points will be scored between the two teams. I'm definitely taking the over on that. I think this is going to be an absolute shootout, so many points scored. So definitely take the over if you're thinking about betting on that. FanDuel has so many ways for you to end the season with a W, or 2, or 3. Not only can you bet on who will win Super Bowl 58, but FanDuel also has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. New customers join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. FanDuel's so much fun, and I guarantee you won't be disappointed. You know what else you won't be disappointed in is if you subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube, you can actually get caught up in all things going on in sports. It is the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. So if you're ever worried about catching up on all your sports news, Locked On Sports Today on YouTube is the place for you to go. The Boston Red Sox have not had an off season that we would have hoped that they would have had. They finished in last place in the AL East in 2023 with a record of 78 and 84. The next team that was right above them was the Yankees with a record of 82 and 80. So the Red Sox were not that close. The first place Orioles won 101 games. Props to them. The Red Sox were 23 games behind them. And the Orioles have been making some big changes this offseason, so I expect a big season from them again in 2023. But where do the Red Sox actually stack up compared to these other division opponents? We're going to be looking at how they stack up to the New York Yankees in 2024. Now, just a reminder on some of the offseason moves that the Yankees have made. First of all, they traded pitchers to the Red Sox for Alex Verdugo, and Verdugo is somebody who won't necessarily be a superstar in New York, but he will contribute on the offensive side of the ball. And if you look at his stats in 2023, was he a bad hitter? Absolutely not. He finished the season with a .264 batting average, 13 home runs, 54 RBIs, and 5 stolen bases. He also had non-base percentage of .324 and a slugging percentage of .421. So he's a decent hitter. I'm not saying the Red Sox needed to hang on to him because they didn't, and I don't see him being the sole thing that moves the needle for the Yankees in 2024, but that is a decent offensive addition. And the Red Sox added Tyler O'Neill to essentially replace Verdugo in the outfield. If O'Neill is fully healthy, he's an upgrade to me over Verdugo, and I think we'll see better numbers from him offensively than we'll see from Verdugo during the 2024 season. But again, that is banking on his health. Verdugo usually is a pretty healthy player, so the Yankees shouldn't have to worry as much about injuries with him. But with O'Neill, I think there's definitely a lot of potential there for him to be a key contributor for this Red Sox team. It just becomes a matter of, is he going to stay healthy? Now, thinking about the Yankees and their roster construction, they had a lot of players who basically were home run or bust in their lineup, and that's something that Verdugo can provide for them that they didn't have before. Is he's a little bit more of a balanced hitter. Like I said, he only hit 13 home runs during the 2023 season, but he was getting on base in other ways, making contact with the ball and hitting singles and hitting doubles, making small ball happen. And that's big for the Yankees. They needed a hitter who was more diverse like that. So I think that'll help with expanding their lineup. Another player who the Yankees got this offseason that is just absolutely unreal to me still is that they acquired outfielder Juan Soto. I mean, good for them for knowing what they needed and going out and getting it. They needed an outfielder and they went out and got the best one in the game right now in Juan Soto. He's an all-star. He will be an all-star in New York. He's going to be a problem for the Red Sox pitching staff, a pitching staff that's pretty shaky right now. So going up against the Yankees lineup, overall, does it scare me? No. But there are a couple players in there to be of note. Those two additions in Juan Soto and Alex Verdugo, if you add them to the Yankees lineup right now, that is a better lineup already than it was last year. And the lineup was a weakness for New York last year. So I expect their lineup to be better. In terms of pitching, the Yankees pitching staff, talent-wise and ceiling-wise, is above where the Red Sox are. But it won't necessarily stay like that because the Yankees, just like the Red Sox, are banking on a lot of people staying healthy who were injured last year. They're banking on a bounce back season from Carlos Rodon. Can he stay healthy and can he be that guy? Garrett Cole is their ace. He will still be solid. He'll still be the guy on the mound that they look to. They're also hoping Nestor Cortez can be effective because he didn't have the best season last year. I felt like opposing hitters were starting to figure him out towards the later half of the season. So they're hoping for him to get back to what he was earlier on in the season last year, as well as during the 2022 season. But who knows what's going to happen there. Marcus Stroman signed with the Yankees, who has talent for sure, but has put up some of his worst career numbers at Yankee Stadium. So that's a question mark for them too. So I don't find the Yankees starting rotation to be a sure thing at all right now. A lot has to go right for them, just like a lot has to go right for the Red Sox starting rotation in 2024. If everything goes right for both rotations, I do give the Yankees the leg up in terms of proven talent and experience. Because if you look at the Red Sox, Lucas Giolito, assuming he has a bounce back year and can figure out how to get back to where he was when he was that dominant pitcher that we all know, he will be probably a number 2 starter, maybe number 3, but he could definitely be a number 2 if he can get back to that. Brian Bayo right now is a number 3, maybe a low end number 2, who is still trying to figure everything out for himself. What's gonna help him develop? What kind of player is he gonna be? I expect him to continue to develop in the right way. Cutter Crawford, who knows what's going to happen with him? He certainly showed a lot of promise in 2023, but I still haven't seen enough to be convinced he's going to be super effective in 2024. And then you move to Nick Pivetta, who, to me, pitched better out of the bullpen than he did in the rotation. So bringing him back into the rotation as a starter in 2024 certainly is a bit of a risk. The Red Sox seem willing to take that risk. And so there's risk involved with the Red Sox rotation. And then that 5th spot is still up for grabs. So there's a lot of room for error with the Red Sox starting rotation right now. And there's a lot of room for things to go very well. So I'm still giving the leg up to the Yankees in terms of the starting rotation and their overall ability to be able to have a competitive rotation, because those are really strong arms that they have in that rotation right now if they can figure things out. So we're really looking at a Yankees team that made moves this offseason to make them a better baseball team. And you can't necessarily for sure say the same about the Red Sox. If everything goes well, they're a better team than last year. If everything goes the way it's supposed to and the way the Red Sox are expecting it to go. But you can't always rely on that. And the Red Sox are at the point where they are relying on a lot of things going right. So then you move to the bullpens. The Red Sox had a competitive bullpen last year. They led the league in innings for a good portion of the season, and they still have a good bullpen. There are a lot of good arms returning to the bullpen, like Josh Winkowski, who knows if he's going to end up starting or if he's going to stay in the bullpen, but he definitely pitched very effectively out of the pen last year. John Schreiber is still in there. He had a challenging season in 2023 and unfortunately was injured, and it kind of affected his performance. But I think he can have a bounce back year as long as he stays healthy. So he'll be out of that bullpen for sure. They did unfortunately get rid of Zach Weiss. They DFA'd him. I actually liked a lot of what he showed on the mound during his time in 2023. But I understand that the Red Sox needed to make a move, and sometimes you have to get rid of players that you might not necessarily see being part of the equation long term. Garrett Whitlock and Tanner Houck also are coming out of the bullpen. They look awesome. I think I prefer both of them to stay in the bullpen and not be starters. That again depends on what the Red Sox decide to do there. But either way, those are two very solid arms that if they pitch out of the bullpen, that's a competitive Red Sox bullpen right there already. And then you mix in other guys to the fold as well, for sure. But if you have those solid arms in the bullpen will be competitive again. And then you have to think about Chris Martin and Kenley Jansen. If Kenley Jansen's still here in 2024, it's a question mark there. Chris Martin was absolute nails out of the pen in 2023. So the bullpen actually is still not a huge area of concern for me. When I'm putting them against the Yankees bullpen, the Yankees bullpen is competitive as well. I see those two bullpens as pretty even. I think the Yankees have some really solid arms in their bullpen, as do the Red Sox. So overall, when you look at the two teams next to each other, I'm putting the Yankees above the Red Sox. I expect it to be relatively close. I don't think the Yankees are the best team in the division based on the moves they made. I don't expect everything to go perfectly for them. They're going through some adjustment periods too with some players. So I don't expect that the Yankees will have a huge lead on the Red Sox in the division, but I'm thinking they'll be probably another 6 or 7 games ahead of the Red Sox, a couple games more than they were in 2023. So it's not a huge difference, but the Yankees to me are a better team right now, and I hope the Red Sox get to the point where we can say they are a much better and more competitive team. But so far, based on what they've done this offseason, I cannot say that. Coming up, we're 51 days away from opening day, so I'm going to be talking about a notable player for the Boston Red Sox to wear that number 51. Don't forget, you can subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and get caught up in everything related to sports, so you don't have to worry about missing anything, and you don't have to scroll through Twitter, because I know that can be kind of annoying to catch up on things. So if you subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube, it's the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel, so we'll keep you updated on everything going on. So subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube. And also you can follow Locked On Red Sox on Twitter at LO_Red Sox. The show is here for you every single day, especially as we're getting into the season quickly approaching. I'll be here through it all. So subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform, share it with your friends and family, and join in on the fun. It's all about fun here. We love to talk baseball. We love to see interactions between fans. So follow the show on Twitter and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. 51 days until opening day. I am excited, not so much excited to see if the Red Sox do struggle, but just excited to have baseball back in general. And speaking of the number 51, a notable player to wear the number 51 for the Boston Red Sox was Daniel Bard. He played for the Red Sox from 2009 to 2013 as a pitcher. He actually set a Red Sox team record with 25 consecutive scoreless appearances. His highest velocity pitch was 102 miles per hour. He actually wore number 60 in 2009, which was his rookie year, and then he switched to the number 51. He had his best career season in 2010. He made everything look so effortless when he was on the mound. The ball would just fly out of his hand at 98 to 100 miles per hour regularly. It was crazy. He also had a nice slider to go with that, which gave him an absolutely nasty two-pitch combo out of the bullpen. During that 2010 season, which was his best, he posted a 193 ERA and 1.00 whip as the Red Sox top setup man to legendary closer Jonathan Papelbon. He dominated again the next season until September when the team kind of fell apart. At the end of August, he had a 2.03 ERA with batters hitting 164 against him. That included an opening day disaster that saw him allow 4 runs. Between his second game of the season and the end of August, he had a fantastic 147 earned run average, but then September was not good to him. He allowed more runs than he had allowed from April 5th through the end of August, and his ERA finished at 3.33. He started in the rotation in 2012. The Red Sox felt like that was a good move, which didn't make a lot of sense at the time. He had begun his minor league career as a starting pitcher and was a disaster, which prompted the move to the bullpen originally. So this second round of him starting didn't go much better. He had a 6.22 ERA and just never recovered from it. He unfortunately spent most of the next several years throwing pitches to the backstop and hitting batters in the minor leagues. However, he still was a dominant setup man for a couple seasons wearing number 51. We'll always remember him as one of the nastiest setup men in that short stint that he was here. So that's a notable player to wear number 51 in Boston, despite the fact that not everything went his way along his time with the Red Sox. But he was still competitive. He had that fight in him that we admire about players, and he was still fun to watch, especially during that time when he was absolutely dominant. And a lot of legends have played in Boston, so it's only really the start. There's just so many players that have had success at Fenway Park, the most historic ballpark. Obviously, Wrigley Field is also very historic. I know that too. I still have yet to go there in person, and it should be fun. Maybe I'll go this season. Who knows? But 51 days until opening day. So if you haven't been having a countdown yet, which you shouldn't, I mean, only weirdos like me fully have a countdown, then go for it and start a countdown and look forward to opening day. But as far as the Red Sox go, we'll see what happens from now until opening day does come. In the meantime, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.